Assalamu alaikum, this is SaqibSaab, and these are my Ramadan Chronicles for 2011. Day 11. For day 11, we talk about the struggles of women praying Tarawih in the masjid. Now, this might not apply to all women, but the reason why I wanted to mention this is an incident that took place in our household, and that involves my wife trying to pray Tarawih at the masjid. This is our first Ramadan with a baby, and for those of you who know about babies, um, bedtime is a big issue, right? You want to make sure they go to bed properly at the right time on a regular routine. And it just so happens that our baby, our son Abdullah, who's 10 months at this time, he happens to be going to sleep right around the time it's the proper time to leave to go pray Isha and Tarawih in the masjid. So it takes some time to put him to sleep like any other baby. By the time he falls asleep, it's already past time and maybe even the iqamah has been called. So usually I'm the only one who's allowed to go. My wife can't go, right? And you think, okay, if he's sleeping, then how is your wife allowed to go? Then maybe we can put him in the car seat, we can take him, we can bring him into the masjid and maybe he'll sleep. Or if that's not the case, my wife can go and I could stay home and we could, arrange something like that. Either way, my wife has not been able to go to this day. And she asked me, maybe if I can put him to sleep earlier, maybe once in a while, maybe just once this whole month or something, you can stay home with him and I can go. And I thought about it and I thought, why can't we just go together? But the whole bedtime thing and other issues involved with our baby, I thought, you know what? That's totally fine. I can take one for the team for one day and we can go from there. But it didn't really work out, and my wife has yet to go for Tarawih. Now, on that note, I was talking to my wife about what it's like to go through this and just what it's like to pray in the women's side, because as guys, sometimes we don't really know what it's like, when they're all the way upstairs behind us or they're behind the curtain, whatever. We don't know what's going on over there, and there's a lot more to it than just what we might catch at the corner of our eye or behind a curtain. Let's just talk specifically about women who bring their kids for Salah. If you bring your babies or your children and they're running around, they're causing problems, or let's not even say that, even if you have a small baby in like a rocker and a car seat next to you and they make noise, you get mad, dirty looks, man. Them aunties will be looking at you, they'll be getting upset, they'll ask you, why did you bring your kid? My salah is being disturbed, this and that, and they're going to be upset. And maybe they have the right to, but it's not a pretty picture. If you don't bring your kid, then people will ask you, where's your kid? Why didn't you bring your kid? We wish you could see him. And then you try to explain, like, as if I bring my kid, I'm going to get in trouble. And if I don't bring him, then it looks like I'm getting in trouble too, right? And specifically for my wife, imagine if she told people, oh, I came to the masjid today and my husband stayed home with my kid. People will be like, man, what's wrong with you? You're telling your husband to stay home, right? And you're going to the masjid? Shouldn't it be the opposite? As the Prophet ﷺ said in an authentic hadith, that the best place to pray for the woman is at home, right? Shouldn't you be at home while your husband's here? So that's some of like the struggles that women get, but it doesn't really sound that bad. But for some women, it's gotten really bad, right? One of my wife's friends said that the amount of dirty looks she gets and like the questioning and just all the pressure, she's like, with my 3 kids, forget it. I'm just not going to come to the masjid anymore. It's just too much of a hassle. It's just too frustrating, and I'm just upsetting everybody around me, and no one wants to be accommodating. I'm just going to stay at home, and I'll probably never go to the masjid until my kids get a lot older, however many years that is from now. So someone might say, well, that's good, right? You should pray at home. That's where more reward is. So yeah, you can't come to the masjid, but at least you're getting more reward. Well, I'm not sure if that's really the case, or that's what our attitude should be. The Prophet ﷺ said in an authentic hadith in Abu Dawood, do not prevent women from coming to the masjid, even though it's better for them to pray at home. Now, you think this is interesting. He said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it's better for them to pray at home. But then he said, don't prevent them from coming to the masjid, right? You would think if it's better to pray at home, he'd be like, you know what, tell them just to stay home, don't come to the masjid, because at home is more reward. But yet, he's making an exception for women. Why is that the case? It's because of the experience of praying in the masjid, right? Sometimes you need to go to a masjid in order to really get that iman type of like feeling, that high, especially in Ramadan, especially for Tarawih, right? As one of the fatwa sites I've seen online talking about this issue, they ask, and they ask very conservative scholars, by the way, um, is it better for me to pray at home when I'm just reciting like, half an hour to an hour of Quran from whatever I know, or if I follow the opinion that you can hold a mushaf, I'll open it and read it, but I won't really read too much in Tarawih, or should I go to the masjid where I can pray for 2 hours behind an imam who's a hafiz who will recite so much more Quran than I will ever know or will ever recite in Tarawih, and I get so much more out of it, right? And these scholars respond with the same responses all the time. They say it's better for you to pray at home, but if you want to pray in the masjid, then more power to you, sister, right? Because no one can stop you from doing that. As the Prophet ﷺ said, do not prevent women from praying in the masjid. Now, those people that are giving women a hard time for coming, they're basically telling the sisters who come, don't come, right? Why did you bring your kid? You are a burden unto me. You are upsetting me. You are ruining my salah. Yes, might be the case. And I feel for the sister's side. We don't know what it's like to have a lot of kids in our area on the brother's side, right? You might have like older kids that are kind of there, maybe running around the back, but you don't have all the babies. I can't even imagine what it's like to pray there with so many kids and so many people, right? But on that same note, don't be so harsh on the girls who bring their kids to the masjid, right? You were once a young mother too, and maybe you stayed at home, but we live in a time and we live in a place, the West here in America, or maybe like in the UK or in Canada or whatever, we don't live in a Muslim majority country. So our situation is different to the point where I saw some scholars saying online that here in the West, the same situation doesn't apply where you have so many Muslims that will come over to your house all the time, and you have like satellite TV with like, Ramadan like TV shows all the time, and you get that Ramadan feeling at home. No, here in America, where we are at least, women are home all day, husband's at work, and then when the husband comes home, he eats, he goes to the masjid, woman's at home all alone again, and then the husband comes home and goes to sleep because he's exhausted, he has to get up for suhoor. What about the woman? How's she going to get her Ramadan high? What, just be at home all the time? When we don't have that experience of an all-out Muslim community like in a Muslim country, sometimes they need to go to the masjid to get something, even though it's better for them to pray at home, right? And for the people who say it doesn't make sense, they should pray at home. Yeah, it's better, but it doesn't mean it's bad to pray in the masjid, and that's a really critical point. Don't look down on women who go to the masjid, especially if they're, young mothers and they have a reason to stay. If they make an extra effort, guess what? The female companions of the Prophet ﷺ used to pray in the masjid. You would think if there's a group of women that would follow the rule of praying at home for more reward, it's going to be the female companions, the first generation of Muslims, the best people to walk the face of this earth after the prophets, right? Yet they prayed in the masjid. Why? Because they knew or they felt that there's something about the masjid that they wanted to have. That's the same thing that these young sisters or even older sisters want to do when they go to the masjid. Please don't give them a hard time, because remember the Prophet ﷺ said, yeah, it is better to pray at home, but don't prevent women from praying in the masjid. For all the women who are watching this, all one or two of you, especially those of you who have kids and you have that experience where you're unable to go to the masjid, I feel for you. I don't know exactly what it's like because I will never have that experience. Alhamdulillah, I have it very easy compared to you, but I can understand it's probably difficult. You wish you can pray in the masjid, but you just can't. Inshallah, Allah will reward you for this, but I got your back. The Prophet ﷺ got your back with the hadith saying don't prevent you from going to the masjid. Inshallah, one day you'll find your way, but until then, sorry, and I feel bad for you. Let me know if you've ever experienced anything like this. Maybe it's with your wife, it's with your family, your mother, your sister, or you as a woman going through it for the first time. What's it like, and what are some solutions or tips that you can share with others? Drop a comment on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, and inshallah, I'll talk to you guys later. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.